mode.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Clifford here and welcome to a really exciting session we've got for you today. Now, before I get started, we're seeing lots and lots of people joining. We're really full today, so I just want to check and do the usual sound checks and everything and check you can all hear me okay. So I see lots of familiar faces come in, so just type in and say hi and let me know that I'm coming across loud and clear. Just type in loud and clear. Hi Terry, how you doing? And let me know where you're coming in from as well. Brilliant. Good afternoon, Norm, to yourself. Hi, Mark. So we've got John coming in from Brighton, Richard from Texas, a few people from San Francisco and Arizona. So myself, Philip, Alex, Kim, Craig, Robert, Brian. Wow, we're really full today. So we've got Leo coming in from Denmark, Harold, Ganti from Atlanta, Michael from India, Jet coming in from a very wet London, Heather in the UK too. Brilliant. You can all hear me okay. Pat's saying it's hard to hear me. Sorry, I'm looking at two different screens here, so I'll just go a bit closer to the microphone. So thankfully it's not raining here because I'm in San Diego, as you know, and the sun is shining. And in degrees C, it's about 24, 25 today. So I'm only saying that to make you all jealous. No, I'm just kidding. But I really appreciate everyone being on. And what we're going to do today is I've asked a business partner of mine to come on and talk to you about his real online business. His name's Trent, and basically just to give you a bit of the background. So I met Trent about 2 years ago at a conference, and we kind of had similar ethos in terms of online marketing and selling products and building real businesses. Okay. And over the time we got to know each other better, and I spent some time with him in San Diego, and we started working on a new business, which is another SaaS business. So in other words, it's a software that's delivered on the web. And you'll be hearing more about that, over the coming weeks. But in the meantime, what I wanted to do is to get Trent on to talk to you about his business, which is it's a real business, and I think so many people get carried away with all the marketing talk about just set up a few affiliate links, drive traffic, send a promo, all this sort of stuff, and people lose sight of the end game. The end game is to build a lasting business that's going to grow over time, and not something that just what you live on month to month. Okay. And I think many people really get misguided by marketers on that point, and it's something that I really tried to push. And Trent's a living example of that. And Trent also has history, because he's built a business before and sold that successfully. So I want you just to get that and understand that for me, because it's this session is going to be really valuable. Trent's going to talk about his new book, and and I think it'd be really good for you just to focus in and listen intently to what he's got to say. So if you can shut down your Facebook, maybe get your notepad out, and get everything ready, and type in the chat box and let me know you're ready, and I'm going to hand you over to Trent. Everyone ready
All
to
right,
do
Paul.
stuff?
By the way, I used to be in San Diego as well, and I'm very envious of all that sunshine and warm weather you're getting, because I'm looking out my window at a frozen pond and snow.
So you went the wrong way, Trent. And it's a little joke between us, because I moved to San Diego and he moves out. So I don't know if it's just like he
I
got
knew you were coming, and I wanted to get out of town.
exactly. All right, Trent.
All
Well,
right,
look,
gang.
I'm going to leave it to you because I know you've got some great content here, and I know that everyone's going to be really, really impressed with what you've got to say because I am certainly. So, I'm going to hand it over to you, and off you go.
All right. Thanks very much, Paul, and thank you everyone for giving me some of your time today. My promise to you is to impart upon you some lessons that I've learned about some pretty big mistakes that I've made, and then the lessons that I've learned as a result of making those mistakes, and how that is really, really helping my business today. I'm going to start off by just introducing myself very quickly so you have a little idea about who I am, and then we'll get right on into the meat of it. Before we get into any of that, I do want to very quickly define it. On my very first slide, I talked about a real business. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how to build a real online business. And I want to make sure that we're clear on what I mean by that. So online can be run from anywhere. It's going to generate active and passive income because my business does both. It's going to make use of automation. My business makes extensive use of automation. And it's going to rely on outsourcers and systems to do the majority, but not all the work. There are obviously still things that we have to do manually. For example, right now, my wife, who's involved in the business, she's going to be joining us in a little while to handle the chat box, but right now she's on a call with one of our clients. And so there is definitely some real work that you have to do. So if this is the type of business that you want to build, please type yes, that's for me, or something like that into the chat box, just so that we know that we've got the right crowd and I've got the right message for you people. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, lots of yeses coming in. All right, because what you're not going to learn here is some super duper shortcut, get rich quick by tomorrow at lunchtime kind of business, because that's just really not my thing. So there's me and my wife. I founded and sold a company called Duran Systems. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I'm the founder of breadideas.co. I'm the founder of our agency, Groove Digital Marketing, where my wife is my partner. And on my podcast on Bright Ideas, I have interviewed over 100 other successful entrepreneurs. And let me just tell you that the lessons that I have been able to glean from all of those interviews and implement in my own business have been absolutely huge. Paul mentioned my book that I wrote recently, and I'm going to tell you more about that book later. But many, many, many of those lessons from those 100+ entrepreneurs also made it into my book. So my business, Durand, was started in 2001 in my apartment. There it is right there. And at the time, I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm a Canadian. And that's in an area of Vancouver called Yaletown, lots of high skyscraper apartment buildings, as you can see. So pretty humble beginnings, and you can tell by the picture on the wall that I'm a race car fan. So kind of everybody's office probably looks like that. And then when I sold the company in 2008, it had offices in Vancouver, Toronto, and Halifax. So a pretty good Canadian success story by any standard, and we were in the managed IT services business. So over the period of time that I ran it, in our first year, we did $187,000 in revenue, and the second year was just shy of 500. And we kind of kept doubling through 2004, 2005. Then growth tapered off a little bit, and then it had another nice spurt in 2008. And we finished off when I sold the company doing just under $2 million a year in revenue. During that period of time, because of that business, I was recognized as one of the top 40 under 40 businessmen in Vancouver, British Columbia. And our company for 2 years in a row was recognized as one of the fastest profit 100 growing companies in Canada. And I point this out to you only because most of you probably don't know me from Adam, and you're thinking, who is this guy and should I listen to him? So this is the shortest and fastest way that I can hopefully instill some credibility that I have, some business experience and some success under my belt. The cool part was in 2008, I sold that business for $1.2 million. And let me tell you, I'd never had that much money before. I didn't grow up in a rich family. As a matter of fact, we didn't have hardly any money. I don't have a college education. So I wasn't advantaged in any way, shape, or form. I simply possessed a high level of motivation. And that's why you guys are all here on this webinar, investing your time today. So I want to tell you that if you follow what I'm about to explain to you in this webinar, any one of you who is willing to work your tail off can achieve this. This is not some pipe dream, pie in the sky stuff that only the special people get to do. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy, don't have any fancy education. Today, I'm the host of a podcast that's very popular with business people and marketers. Those are some of the people that have been on the show. As I mentioned, there's about 100 plus people that have been on. As a result of that, received some very nice testimonials from some of the who's who in the marketing industry. Over 10,000 marketing consultants are in my tribe. So it's all good stuff, right? If you want to get connected with me, by the way, those are two ways that you can do it. I share a lot of content on my Facebook page and on Twitter. I don't know why the D there is down below. It should be up on the end of my name. Anyway, please feel free to connect and reach out to me. You'll find I'm very accessible. So at this point, after I've introduced myself, you might be thinking, well, you know, this could never happen to me. And I want to really discourage that kind of thinking, because when I first started online after I sold that business, I was just like you. I didn't know anything about an online business. I didn't know anything about online marketing. I'd never, as a matter of fact, I hadn't even heard of WordPress. I mean, I knew absolutely nothing. And so I was on webinars just like this, trying to get as much knowledge as I could and reading all other people's blogs. And slowly over time, all of that knowledge came, although, as I'm going to share with you in a little bit, I did make some pretty catastrophic mistakes in the beginning. And so the big problem for me was that after my first, 19 months online or so, my income had dropped back to zero, and that really sucked. So kind of here's a little graph of my first online business. And this is, you know, after having built that successful offline business, I really wanted something easier. I was looking for a shortcut, and that was, I'll tell you, that was a huge mistake of mine. I did build the blog up, you know, it had lots of traffic, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about what I did to do this. But then when Google changed their algorithm, which is just before that red arrow, it's at the peak, it's actually in April of 2012. Things started to really go south for me, and that's why my income pretty much vanished. And the only reason now that the blog, and that's what the red arrow is pointing to, the only reason now that the site continues to get any traffic, you're logged in on the laptop. The only reason it continues to get any traffic is because I was smart enough to record a YouTube video, a number of them, but one in particular that still gets 2,000 plus views a day to this day. It's had over 400 and some thousand views at this point in time. So if that video hadn't have existed, the traffic would have gone all the way back down to zero. During this 19 months, I wrote 178 blog posts. I got 5,152 comments and a total of 195 for the visitors to my blog. But like I say, after 19 months of doing that, my income had dropped to less than $500 a month. So it was not Google actually that killed my business. It was my own stupidity. I made some really bad decisions, but mostly because I didn't know any better. I hadn't been around this online marketing space for long enough to know, to have the ability to judge, you know, what was a good opportunity, what was a good use of my time versus what was a poor choice. And one of the things that some of you may already realize is that no matter what business you get into, one of your greatest risks is what I call opportunity cost. And what that means is if you're doing A, you can't do B. And if A is, in my case, which was a stupid business, it consumed all of my time, and so that I didn't get the results that I was really hoping to achieve, and that I know that you're hoping to achieve. So I kind of looked like this guy. This is, the character's name is Bubbles. You have to be Canadian to appreciate this. There's a show called Trailer Park Boys. And if you've ever watched it, or if you've never watched it, you should check it out on YouTube. It's pretty funny, but it's funny. But suffice to say, that was me. I made a lot of really stupid errors. So I'm curious now, if you take a minute and type into the chat box, what business are you working on? Like if you're trying to do affiliate stuff, type that. If you're trying to do, you know, Facebook marketing, or you're trying to do local marketing for businesses in your town, just whatever business you're in, go ahead, please, and type that into the box, because I kind of want to see what people are up to. So affiliate, CPA, affiliate, Amazon, affiliate, Facebook, branded, handmade, something, I can't remember, jewelry, micro continuity, local marketing, local, affiliate, parenting, SMB. All right, so everybody here is trying to do something, and it's all online. All right, that's kind of what I thought it would be, and thank you very much for taking a moment to just give me that feedback. In my case, after those 19 months of seeing my income go all the way up and go all the way back down again, I knew that it was time for a change. And in case you're wondering what I was doing, by the way, the business that I was in back then was the micro niche website business. I built a slew of little itty bitty websites that targeted a single keyword and relied exclusively on Google for traffic. And then I monetized that traffic with AdSense. And until the Penguin and Panda update came around, that was working really, really well. But the big mistake that I made, the stupidity that I highlighted a few slides ago, was that I put all of my eggs in the Google basket, and you don't want to do that. And I'm going to dive into a little bit more detail on that in a little bit when I get into the kind of the key lessons. But before we get to that, I knew it was time for me to reboot my business after 19 months online. So I started brightideas.co, and there's a graph of our traffic from nothing all the way up to about 10,000 visitors a month that we're getting right now. And as you can see, the trend is going up, and I expect that will continue to go up for quite some time yet. The original vision that I had was to sell information products because that's a very nice passive income source. I wanted to promote affiliate offers, and really the offer that I wanted to promote most is Infusionsoft, and that is a piece of software that we use to run our business. I wanted to make use of a lot of automation, and I wanted to rely on outsourcers and systems to do the majority of the work. That was the original vision. The problem was that while we're definitely getting traction with that, it hasn't been fast enough. As of this point in time, on average, our sales of affiliate or info products, they're only about $1,000 or maybe $1,500 a month on average, and that's okay, and maybe that's more than a lot of you are making, so you might think, well, that's awesome. But keep in mind, that was after over a year of full-time effort. So for most of you, if you're still working, that's probably not going to be a doable amount of work to do in addition to your regular day job. So that model, info products, maybe not the best thing to focus on right away. And so for me, I made a decision because I'd had so much success with my prior business by connecting with other people as opposed to search engines or Facebook or whatever. Excuse me, I'm just sipping water. That I needed to go back to a business where I could connect with people. And so I launched Groove Digital Marketing, which is our consulting division. And if you go to groovedigitalmarketing.com, you'll see this website. And there's all sorts of offers and so forth that we do. And it's really just a place for me. And it took all of, maybe a day to build this website. It's just like a Word Studio Press theme and some of my own handiwork. But it really gave us an opportunity to start to work with existing clients. And I want to tell you kind of how that's worked out for us. So we launched Groove in September. And in September, we did about $6,500 in revenue. October, just over 5, November, over 10, and here in December, we're actually higher than that graph already, and we're probably going to finish the month up closer to $30,000. So when you start to work with real clients, with other people, the revenue can come very, very quickly, and it starts to come in a very meaningful way. And a little later in this webinar, one of my very first students, a guy by the name of Mike Worley, is going to share with us how well he did. And he did even better than me. He actually did $55,000 in his first 90 days after he left his job. And so you're going to hear kind of his view on how he did it. So you guys ready? You ready for me to jump into this? I sure hope so, because here we go. So here's what we're going to cover. Why becoming a marketing consultant, I believe, is the very best online business to start to generate cash. And I mean meaningful cash, not like $50 sales. I'm talking $500 to $5,000 sales. And how you can do that relatively quickly. I'm going to say that if you are focused enough and you do enough of what I explained to you in this webinar, you could get a client in your first month, your first 30 days, and generate thousands of dollars from that. So we're going to talk about how Mike Worley did $55,000 in his first 90 days. We're going to talk about the 9 lessons I learned from running my online businesses, how you can get started as a marketing consultant, how much money you can make, and how to get clients. All right, so let's jump into this. Number one, as I've kind of alluded to already, you do not want to build a business on a foundation of quicksand. So what do I mean by a foundation of quicksand? Well, in my case, I was exploiting a loophole or loopholes in the Google search algorithm. I was creating a lot of basically manufactured backlinks to get my websites to rank on the first page for these little key phrases. So great party while it lasted, but the problem is it's not sustainable because, as Google pointed out, they said, Trent, we don't like you and guys like you, so we're going to put you out of business. And they've changed their algorithm, and they did exactly that. So if you think that Google is done changing their algorithm, you're wrong. And if you think that Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter and every other social network isn't going to continually work against the people who are attempting to take advantage of short-term deficiencies in their algorithms, you're wrong. And so if you're building a business, because their team of engineers, way smarter than you, way smarter than me. So if you're trying to build a business that is in some way, shape, or form built on the premise that you're going to hack Facebook or Pinterest or whatever, you're going to somehow take advantage of their inefficiency or stupidity, I'm going to tell you that it might work for a little bit, but it's not going to work for long. And then you're, just like me, you are going to go back to zero. And I'm going to give you an example of that. One of our clients is a company called Eat to Perform. They sell $40,000 a month of an ebook, and they use Facebook to do it. Now, they built a tribe of 350,000 people by spending $500 a day on Facebook, and that's a lot of money, but that's not my point. My point is that Facebook recently reduced the reach of the posts that they're putting on their page. So they have 350,000 likes on their page, and they put 8 posts a day up on this page, and from those 8 posts, they sell all their ebooks. Well, Facebook needs to make more money because they're a public company. So what does Facebook do? They said, well, you know what? If we reduce the reach of these Facebook wall posts, then guys like Eat to Perform, they're going to have to pony up and spend more money on advertising to make up the difference. And so the folks at Eat to Perform tell us that they figure their reach has gone down by half. So guess what? That really sucks. So they're looking to Facebook to feed their machine, to feed the top of their funnel. And to me, that's not a long-term sustainable strategy. And in fact, that's why they became a client, because they're looking for ways to get off of the Facebook tit, as it were. So what is the key to making money today? 2 words. Take your best guess. Please go ahead and type them into the chat box. I want to see what you guys say. Just 2 words. That's all it is. Let's see what we got coming in here. Hard work, says Errol. Authority and honesty, says Sherry. Take action, says Philip. Long play, says John. Marketing consultant, says Rob. Own products. Interesting content. Advertising, put into 2 words. Provide value, multiple streams. Okay. I don't see anybody guessing it right yet, so let me tell you what it is. These 2 words right here. Traffic and conversion. You got to get them to your site, and then you got to convert them into a customer. That is how you make money today. And the reason that so many people get consumed with shortcuts is because there's a lot of stuff that people try and sell to give you the illusion that there's going to be some shortcuts. So there's some courses that people are advertising for sale here in the next while, and I'm just going to give you some of these names, and I want to ask you a question. So we got Auto Facebook Marketer, Backlink Commando, AdSense Avalanche, Authority Stacker, and the mother, I love this one, the mother of all profits. That is by far the worst course name I've ever heard of. So my question for you is this: do any of these names feel like a sustainable business to you? Please type your answer into the chat box. Yeah, no. Okay. So my first lesson for you guys, and if you left the webinar right now and you went away with just one thing, it's this: please stop trying to take a shortcut. If you focus on what I'm going to tell you to do in this webinar, you will have a client within a month, and then you'll get another client, and you'll get another client. And Facebook and Pinterest and Google and YouTube and whomever, none of them are ever going to be able to put you out of business, because you're building a business that connects with people. At the end of the day, that is how you build a real business. Even software as a service companies like Paul and I's that are launching today, we do this by connecting with people. We do content marketing to get leads, and then when someone signs up, we're going to call them. We talk to them. I've interviewed CEOs of other software as a service companies, and when they're first getting started, they don't automate everything. They talk to people one at a time. Lesson number 2 is specialize. Pick a specific niche and focus on that niche. The people who aren't successful as marketing consultants are trying to be everything to everyone, and it's just such a bad decision. Let me give you an example. So let's say that I was in the wine business and I want to put some pictures of my wine bottles online. So I'm looking for a photographer to take pictures. So I go and I type in commercial photographer, and this is one of the results that I found, Hussey Photography at tomhussey.com. Got a pretty girl, cool looking car, okay, yeah, he takes good pictures. But then in my search, I continue and I find WeShootBottles.com. Does it take long to understand what WeShootBottles.com does? No, it takes a second. And I know that they're probably better at shooting pictures of bottles than Tom Hussey is, because he didn't have any bottles on his portfolio. So why doesn't everybody do this? Why doesn't everybody say, well, I'm just going to pick one niche and specialize in it rather. And the reason for that is fear. They think, well, what if I miss out? What if somebody comes to my website and they don't want pictures of bottles? What if instead they're in the can business? Hopefully now some of you are laughing. You don't have to have just one website, is my point. But the other main point is that if you're a guy who needs pictures or a gal who needs pictures of cans or bottles, you're going to hire one of these two companies in all likelihood, because they are speaking directly to the problem that you have. And that is so incredibly important for you to do. The other thing is you need to ask questions to the people that you're trying to connect with. That's how you connect with people, is ask questions. And then you really, really need to listen to them. And when you do that, you will receive some of the most valuable insights into how to get them to become your customers. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get access to a process that I use and have used for years and years and years to sell millions upon millions of dollars worth of products to small businesses, on how I can very easily reach out and connect with people. So a question that you want to be asking yourself when you're thinking about the business that you're getting into is, what can your business provide on an ongoing basis that solves real problems for real people who have money and they would be happy to pay you to solve those problems? So there's lots of businesses that you could get in. So why do I like marketing services so much? Well, because between website creation, lead generation, social media management, blogging and content promotion, marketing automation, SEO, and video marketing, I can charge my clients forever, because I have yet to meet a client who says, Trent, I have enough customers now. I don't think I want any more, so I'm going to stop this marketing stuff. That sentence in the real world does not exist. There is not a person out there who thinks, I'm making enough money now, I don't want to grow anymore. It just doesn't happen. So when you're in the marketing services space, and this is one of the things why I got out of IT, why I sold that other company, I want you to understand something that's incredibly important. When you're selling B2B, you can either sell something people need, or you can sell something that emotionally they want. IT services is a utility. People need it. It's like plumbing. Your house is no good if the water doesn't run, but you don't really get excited about, plumbing. It's not something you want to spend money on. You kind of get dragged into spending money on it because it's a necessity. Marketing, on the other hand, leverages what Gordon Gekko in the famous movie Wall Street called greed. It leverages greed. People make buying decisions for emotional reasons so much more than they do for logical ones. And when you're selling marketing, you're selling them their future. You're selling them the ability to put their kids in private schools. You're selling them the ability to change their address to a neighborhood they prefer more. You're selling them the ability to drive around in a nicer car, because all of that stuff is the byproduct of more profits, and more profits is the byproduct of better marketing. So when you're selling marketing, you're selling the ability for people to achieve their dreams. And as long as you don't screw it up or screw them over, they will keep paying you and keep paying you and keep paying you. And that is how you build a real business. So in other words, as long as your business needs new customers, you will never run out of ways to make money from your clients. Lesson number 3, and this is an area where I totally cheated in my first business: create helpful content. Remember when I told you I was building all those micro niche sites? Do you think I was writing any of those articles? Not when you have a couple of hundred sites, you're not. I was hiring people to write basically garbage articles for me, things that weren't helping anybody. And I was stupid back then, and I look back and now I laugh, because it was just such an incredibly foolish decision. The key to making it online is to create helpful content. And when you do that, you're going to inspire people. So this is Mike Worley, who's going to be speaking here in just a few minutes. This is the kind of email, this is an email I got from like a portion of it. First of all, just got to thank you for all the value you've provided through Bright Ideas for the past 3 years. I've been driving 2 hours each way and leading the marketing efforts for a publishing company in Colorado. I've listened to every single podcast you've done and can't thank you enough, as it has helped me to take the entrepreneurial leap into starting my own marketing agency in the last month. Who'd like to have stuff like that? Who would like to have a business where you're creating content and people that you've never heard of are reaching out to you and saying that kind of stuff? I'm willing to bet that most of you on this are thinking, yeah, I'd like to have a business like that. Here's some more. I've just been over to iTunes and left great feedback. So glad I found your podcast. They're truly inspirational. Here's another one. Just want to say thanks for all the absolutely amazing content you put out all the time. I'm always astounded by how much you consistently manage to accomplish, and I really respect you're so honest with your followers about everything that you do. This one's a little longer. I'm not going to read it all. It's from a guy that's in my mastermind group, and more or less what he says is, wow, this one webinar was worth the price of admission for the whole month. He pays me $179 a month to be in one of my mastermind groups. He's a marketing consultant, just like I'm encouraging some of you to become. So, would you like to get stuff like this in your inbox? If you would, go ahead and type something in. Type a yes into that chat box for me. Again, I want to make sure that what I'm talking about is connecting with you guys, and that this is where you want to go. Yes, 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 yeah. Okay, I thought so. All right, let's continue on. Lesson number 4. I used to think that if I just created really great content, people would just show up. And it worked a bit, but not as well as I'd hoped. And then I met this guy by the name of James Clear. So James taught me all about content promotion. And let me just tell you a little bit about James. At the beginning of 2013, his blog was receiving around 10,000 visitors a month. And here at the end of 2013, his blog now gets over 100,000 visitors per month. The reason this red arrow is here is so this line is 12,000. So these are like 10,000 visits a day. These are like 5,000 visits a day, but that's a day. You got to multiply that by 30. The other thing that happened during that first year, 600,000 uniques, and he grew his list of subscribers to 35,000 people. In my book, which I will make you an offer to purchase at a discount at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you James's exact content promotion strategy. And it's something that I now use and has had a significant impact on my traffic. So another question for you guys, and if you want to type in, great. If you don't want to type in, that's fine too. But what I want to know is if you could get results like James Clear and you could get results like me, would you be willing to put in smart work instead of just hard work? And again, lots of yeses coming in. Okay. So at the end of this webinar, as I mentioned, I want to show you how you're going to get access to James' strategy. Well, I kind of just said that already. It's in my book. Lesson number 5. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I got about 1.2 million reasons why this is an important lesson. And that is, you want to be in a business with recurring revenue. It is recurring revenue that will create wealth for you. The business that I created last, Duran Systems, that managed IT services company, that business had $80,000 a month in recurring revenue. Now it took a while to build it all, but that when I sold it, 80,000 a month. That meant that we had a whole bunch of customers that on the first day of every single month, their credit card was automatically charged, or we automatically debited their bank account, or they automatically wired the money to us. 80 grand on the first day of every month, month after month. And it's that reason that I was able to sell the business for $1.2 million. If I did not have all that recurring revenue, the business would not have been worth nearly as much. Why is that? The reason for that is because people who buy businesses, they want predictable cash flow. In building a real business, it makes very good sense. And remember I said work hard versus work smart? Working smart is building a business with recurring revenue as opposed to one-time revenue, because that business is going to be worth a whole lot more. So in the last few years that I ran Duran, I paid myself, $150,000 a year salary, at about another $30,000 in expenses. So that was good, right? But then when I sold it, I got this other big check. And that was really, really wonderful to get. But if I didn't focus on building a real business with real predictable revenue, that check, that bonus at the end for kind of quitting my job, quote unquote, never would have come my way. The way that you create recurring revenue is to create dependence on what you do. And that is one of the things why marketing is so incredibly valuable. When you become the person that helps your client get more customers, they become very, very dependent upon you. Here's another question for you. What would your life be like if you had just 5,000 to 10,000 a month coming in every month, month after month? Do you think that would change your life? Do you think that would allow you to maybe change your address or change the school that your kids go to? Absolutely it would, but it doesn't have to stop there. That is just the beginning. Like I said, I grew a business to 80,000 a month. My buddy Mike grew a business to 3 times that amount. It's just a question of how smart you are at marketing and how much you're willing to work and how much time and effort you're willing to put into building your business. But the opportunity is there. So who's worried that building a business like this would take too long? I want to know your thoughts. And Jerry wants me to speak up a bit, so I'm going to turn my mic up a little bit. If that's too loud now, make sure you guys let me know, because obviously I have no idea how loud it is. So James says it sounds very difficult. Michael says it depends on focus. Craig says it would be consistent effort. Larry thinks he could do it in 90 days. Darren put in a semicolon. I don't know what that means. Carl's saying I'm 78, so I don't have time. All right. Well, I want to tell you that it doesn't have to take as long as you think it does. Remember Mike, he got results in 90 days. Me, I got results in 90 days, and that is lesson number 6. You want to do a combination of outbound and inbound to speed up results. So what do I mean by outbound and inbound? Inbound is when you're creating content. People find you in search engines. They find you on social profiles. They just find you. Outbound is when you reach out to them by however you want to do it. So HubSpot, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, is renowned for their inbound marketing. But guess what? HubSpot also employs a very large outbound team of salespeople. Now, I'm not talking about cold calls. Please do not think that I think outbound is making cold calls. Please do not think that Mike or me made even a single cold call to get our businesses going, because that would not be true. Now, my earlier business, yeah, I made lots of cold calls back in 2001 because I didn't know any better. And all this online marketing stuff wasn't nearly as easy to do back then, nor I don't think that it worked as well. Times have changed, and so you don't need to be making cold calls anymore. The way to do outbound is to connect with people on social profiles, and it is incredibly easy to do. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you access to a course that I have for free. It's a bonus for one of the offers that will show you the exact process that I used and still use to combine outbound. So the reason that outbound and inbound work together work so well is this. You connect with someone who doesn't know you, and instead of saying, are you interested in buying my stuff, which is what most salespeople do, you say something else, and it sounds like this. Hey, I noticed you're in the so-and-so business, and I've recently written an article about a challenge that I know you have in the so-and-so business, and I simply wanted to make you aware of that article. Now, you can do that on a one-person at a time basis, but you don't have to. If you use social profiles properly, you can actually do that on a one-to-many basis. And in my book, I explain to you exactly how to do that, and in the course, I also explain to you how to do it. So when you got to set a goal, if you're going to have success, you've got to set a goal and reach it. You must have the goal to keep you focused. You must think about it every day. You must see it every day, and you must take action towards it every day. And at the end of this training, I will show you exactly how you can access my outbound client attraction strategy. But before that, I would like to introduce you to our guest who's going to come on in here and just talk with us, Mike. So we're just going to get him queued up here, and we'll be ready to go in just a second. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for coming here onto the webinar to share with the audience some of your own personal success story.
Yeah, not a problem, Trent. Thanks again for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. So just briefly tell us about a little bit about yourself and what you were doing just before you built this, what has become a very successful marketing consulting business in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, not a problem. My background is actually in the publishing industry. So for the last 3 years, I worked for a publishing company and helping, kind of running all their digital marketing and helping authors build their platform online, putting together, to, get a few books on the New York Times list and really kind of cultivating what that message looked like online to be able to sell books and, a few membership sites for the authors and such, and really kind of focused on it. And in the meantime, I live in Denver, Colorado, and the publishing company I worked for was about an hour away. So I had about an hour commute for 3 years, and I really took that. I knew that this was not what I wanted to do long term, but I wanted to learn the skill set. So I kind of took my time in the car as my little MBA program, and kind of just dove into any and every podcast that I could, and listening to close to 8 to 10 hours a week of different podcasts. And one of those that I stumbled upon was yours, Trent, with Bright Ideas, and literally went back and listened to every single episode to really just understand. You have so many different guys that were talking, that you were interviewing and talking about marketing automation and using tools like Infusionsoft and email marketing, and those are all different places that I had been. So I just really, really wanted to learn it for implementation. So yeah, just use that 3 years to consume and practice and trying to implement that. And then my wife and I, we found out that we were going to have a little baby girl, and that was kind of the motivation for me to figure out my exit plan. So for 9 months, kind of just decided, like, man, put my foot on the ground, was going to do this, and just decided to launch my marketing agency. And it was the smartest decision I ever made. I really wish I would have done it a year earlier, even, because it's gone so well. So we launched in the first 90 days and did $55K in business, which was more than I even made at my job at the publishing company. So that was a great confirmation. And yeah, continuing to build it now has been fun. Yeah, I'm having the time of my life. So
in your first 3 months, you said you made $55,000, more than you'd made.
Yeah.
And that was more than your salary.
No, my salary was around, oh, man, I think it was around 50. So yeah, in the first 90 days, I already did more. Now that, not all of that that was my gross. It wasn't all net. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to obviously keep all of that because I outsourced some of the work and such to make sure I can make that happen. But yeah, gross, it was more than I even made annually at the publishing company.
Fantastic. So, Mike, there's a fair number of people on this call who are not probably yet in business, or they have a small business, but it's not a full-time business yet. And they've looked at all sorts of opportunities, and they've tried all sorts of different things. And as you know, online, there's, like a gazillion different courses for how you should get rich, most of which I think, aren't really worth the paper they're written on. Why do you think becoming a marketing consultant is such a legitimate and valuable opportunity? And why should people even think about doing this?
The game changer for me was when I talked, to a good friend of mine who was wanting to do a website, and it was, for me, I don't even know how to build a website. I just know the process and the practice and how to hire the right people to do the right job. And for me, it was such a painful problem for him that the light bulb went on just of something that I had taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so hesitant. I always wanted to take the leap, but I always thought, man, when I get to this certain point, or when I can have this skill set, or when I can do this, and it really got to the point where it was, I just had to have enough confidence to take the leap and to put myself out there and to close a couple of deals. And you take for granted what you actually know. I would be willing to guess, if you're listening to the Bright Ideas podcast already, 90% more than any business owner, small business owner specifically, about internet marketing and social media and email marketing, anything online that way. So so that's what I think is some of it was just the hesitation in that, of trying to think that I had to be this certain type of expert when practically I already was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And do you find that business owners, for the most part, your clients I'm referring to, are pretty happy to pay you for your services? Maybe not even because you know more than them, but they just don't have the time to be able to do what you and your team can do.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I think the one thing I've learned about small business owners specifically is they are wearing 8 different hats. So they're the CEO of the company. They're driving the vision. They may be balancing the books if they have. When you can provide a service that gives peace of mind to that business owner, man, they become your biggest fan even in that, and the referrals start to come in, and it's just it's all about solving that business owner's problem, whatever that may be, and you can launch a business pretty successfully if you're doing that practically.
Mike, did you need to be a great salesman to get started?
No, but you do have to make the ask, and you do have to get a commitment. So it's one thing when somebody says, "Oh man, I would love to get a new website," and then you say, "Well, it'll be around $10,000 for us to build it out." It's a whole another thing when they say, "It's $10,000. Here we go. Here's the email. Make the first payment, 50% up front, and we'll start kicking on it."
Mm-hmm.
We'll have our initial call in 3 days. And I'll tell you, there's nothing that brings more assurance and confidence that when you see that in your inbox, is somebody paying $10K for the website or the check that comes in the mail. It's pretty affirming. So you just have to be intentional about the ask, and really solidifying that. But that doesn't, it's just about relationships. It's about talking and making the person feel comfortable. You don't want to force them to be able to do anything. And I think sales traditionally we think is this big, huge, hard thing, when really it's a conversation and a benefit that you're truly bringing to, a value that you're bringing to the company. So when you do that, it's not a hard sell by any means.
All right, last question, Mike, and then we'll let you go. What would you say to the people here who they're kind of on the fence? They've got a job and they can't quit it yet, and they're looking for a business that they can start and replace that job, and now they're kind of interested as a result of becoming a marketing consultant as a result of being on this webinar and hearing the success that you've had. What advice would you give them? What should they do in the first week?
In the first week, I would do two things. One is I would go back and listen to all the different Bright Idea podcasts and really just plug into the website and can consume as much value that you can there, and just be pulling that out, because that is, I still can't believe that the content that you post for free on their Trent. I mean, it's invaluable for somebody to be able to consume that for free, especially. So I would be going to brightideas.co, consuming as much content as possible there, and then I would pick what is one practical problem that I can solve for a business owner that I'm either in contact with or that I've heard about and such. Writing that down and then going out and having 4 or 5 conversations with people who you think you can solve their problem for online. If you do that, like when you actually start talking to potential customers, that's when real business begins to happen, and that you'll be surprised. Like you can have some nerves thinking about going out and talking to something, but if you just post it in a way of, hey, love to buy you coffee, I'm thinking about potentially doing something, and just want to get feedback and to see whether this would be actually valuable to a business like yours, and just go and ask questions and just really understand what they're doing, and they'll tell you the answer if you listen enough in the answers that you ask them, or the questions that you ask them.
Absolutely. It's not any more complicated than that. I've done this all my life. I've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of products and services to small businesses, and all I do is ask questions. And guys who are on this webinar, at the very end of the webinar, I'm going to make you an offer that it includes a completely free course called the Best Buyer Formula, and it will literally walk you through exactly step by step how to get the conversations that Mike is talking about, how to get them started with people that don't even know you, and it does not involve making any cold calls, social media, email, and so forth. It's really not hard to do, and again, it's all just asking questions. Mike, would you agree?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I would say, I don't know, Trent, like one of the things that has been so also valuable for me in now having my agency has been your mastermind and being in a group of just like-minded people that are doing it and sharpening, and we're posting questions and getting feedback. That's helped propel my growth extremely, extremely well, and it's challenged me to kind of take some different steps. So when you do have some income coming in, I would say, reinvest it back in your business and get in a mastermind like Trent and kind of glean from him of what he's teaching, and other people. The quality of the people in the mastermind is what makes it worth it too.
And Mike, thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate the feedback, of course, and as well, folks. When I make the offer at the end of this webinar, the recording of those mastermind meetings that Mike is talking about, I'm also going to make those available to you for free as a part of the package. So make sure if you're thinking that this is for you, make sure you stick around to the end of the webinar, because I'll let you know how you can get all of that info. All right, Mike. Well, thanks very much for making some time to join us on the webinar here, and we'll talk to you in the next mastermind meeting coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Trent.
All right, everybody. So that hopefully has given you some real insight into what it is like when you make the decision to go down the path of becoming a marketing consultant. All right. So who thinks that they could do even half of what Mike has accomplished? Again, I'd love to. I'm just trying to get a gauge for what your opinion is of what you're consuming here. Go ahead and type something into the chat box so that I get some feedback from you. Yep. Mike says, yep, sure will. Philip says, yep. Doug says, yes. Lots of yeses. Okay. My point of showing that was I wanted you to understand that, again, apart from my own story, you don't have to be, you don't have to come from any special background. You don't have to have any special, educational degree or whatever to be successful at this. You do need knowledge, and I'm going to show you how to get that. The other big lesson is you just got to start. It is so incredibly important to get started. And I talk about that. I have this video, I mentioned it earlier, that gets viewed. If you look today, this was, I don't know, from like a week ago or something like that. It's over 400,000 now. And so I'm explaining in this video how to get started in business. And the key message of a 10-minute video is that you start and you talk to people. And when that happens, all sorts of good things are going to start happening for you. The other lesson, number 8, I used to do everything manually, build systems and outsource as much as possible. We use Infusionsoft here to run our own business, and that's why we have the consulting division, is to help other people use Infusionsoft. And we generate a lot of affiliate income from that. At one Infusionsoft sale, if you don't do the implementation, it's $1,000. If you do the implementation, it's $2,000. So it's a pretty nice deal, and we generally do a couple of those every month. So what gets in the way of people trying to build an online business? It's these things called shiny objects. The shortcuts, the distractions, all the emails coming in. Who here would be open and honest enough to admit that maybe they suffer from shiny object syndrome? So Sean says he's seen a few of these. Terrence, all the time. Kim, I suffer from this. Jay, he says, James, yes, every day. Barry, yes. Okay, so lots of people suffering from this. Here is my solution to that problem. It's 2 steps. Number 1, unsubscribe from everything else. Stop paying attention to all of that noise in your inbox. And number 2, is to pick a proven business and focus on executing at that business, and don't worry about all the other stuff. And becoming a marketing consultant is that business. It's a proven business. It's not like there's 12 people in North America who are making a healthy living as a marketing consultant. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people doing this very, very successfully. There are firms generating millions of dollars per year doing this. This is a very real business. Lesson number 9, hire a coach or fail. Back in the beginning, I thought, I built a business and sold it. I don't need a coach. I'm a smart guy. So I went and I built the Online Income Lab, and Google put me out of business because I didn't know any better. I didn't have the experience to make decisions about what is a good or a good opportunity. I didn't have the guidance to help me avoid making mistakes that cost me months and months and months of my time and energy. So make sure that you hire a coach. Because when you do, when you pay people at the next level, you will go to the next level. That is why people are in my mastermind group. That is why people pay $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year to be in mastermind groups, because they want to be coached by other people who are at that level or above. They want to get access to that expertise. So now I want to teach you how you can become a marketing consultant. And step 1 is you need to build a foundation of knowledge. And yes, I have a package for you that will help you to shortcut that. I wrote a book. It's called the Digital Marketing Handbook, and I make that available in 3 different packages. I'll explain them in a few minutes. One of those packages, called the Complete Package, includes everything you see here. So there's 8 video tutorials. There's 9 video interviews with very successful content marketers. There's 5 resources that will save you a whole bunch of time. And then, of course, there is the book itself, which is the culmination of the last 2.5 years of my life online, combined with my business experience before and the insights of the many, many, many successful marketers that I have interviewed on my show. Step number 2, while you're accumulating the knowledge, go out and talk to people. That's it. Just talk to them. What are you struggling with most? What is holding you back from growing your business? What are some problems that if they didn't exist, you think that your life would be easier? Have those conversations and you will get answers. You will get rich answers. And the more, and will you be an expert on the very first conversation? No, you won't be. But you'll get better and better and better with every conversation that you have. And you don't have to cold call people to do this. You want to set this stuff up over email. In those conversations, you have a goal, and that's to try and solve people's problems. And when you do that, this magical thing happens. It's called commerce. You get paid. When you create real value for real people, you get paid. And here's what's going to happen. You will go from chasing shiny objects to building a real business that you can be proud of, and it will last you for as many years as you want to run it. Because do you ever think that marketing is ever going to go away? Never. Is it going to change? You bet it is. And that's why your clients are going to need you. You'll go from trying to make 20 to 50 bucks a day to landing clients that will pay you thousands of dollars. I regularly have phone calls. Remember the Eat to Perform people? I didn't know who they were. They consumed my content. They sent me an email. They said, do you have time for chat? I said, I do. We scheduled a time to talk. I talked to one of their people on their team for 20 minutes. He said, I think the owner of the company is going to be a really hard sell, but man, oh man, we need your stuff. I said, great, get a call with the owner. Let's see how it goes. We did an 1.5-hour phone call with the owner. I spent the vast majority of the time on that call asking questions, not making statements. And at the end of the call, he got his credit card out and he paid me $5,000. No proposal, no contract, no nothing, just a bunch of good questions. When you do this, you will be able to quit your job and you'll be able to do it in less than 6 months if you're focused and you work your ass off. If anyone on here believes online marketing is easy, building an internet business is easy, or anyone tells you it's easy, they're full of crap. I work my butt off. And if you're going to have to be successful, or if you want to be successful, you're going to need to work your butt off as well. And whether you're juggling the 2 jobs, if that's the situation that you're in, you're just going to have to do that. But the light at the end of the tunnel is, as Mike Worley did, you'll be able to get meaningful results in a relatively short period of time, measured in months, not weeks. You might get a client in your first week. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's more likely that you'll get your first client within a month. You'll be able to develop the freedom to work on your business, not just in it. I love working on my business because that doesn't require necessarily my day-to-day activity. I have people on our team who work in it. They're the ones who do the stuff every day. You don't want to go out there and sell a website project and then sit down and build a website. That's not what you want to do. You want to hire a contractor to build a website for you and make money off the spread so that while they're building the website, you're counting the profit or working, more importantly, working on getting your next customer. And most importantly, you will never fall victim to the next algorithm change from Facebook or Pinterest or YouTube or Google or Bing or whatever, because you're not going to be dependent upon them for your traffic. So what's all this worth, this foundation of knowledge that I'm about to impart upon you via those packages that I'm going to explain to you here in a minute? Well, if you were given a proven template for building a profitable audience of 10,000 people, which I have done, what would that be worth? Well, if you were to consult with me on a one-on-one basis at 4 hours a month, you'd spend 12 grand a year because I charge $250 an hour for consulting. The reason the consulting rate is so high is I don't really want to do a whole lot of one-on-one consulting unless it's with our clients who've paid us $5,000 in a chunk. If you thought, well, I'm not going to pay you $250 an hour, I'll go find somebody else and pay them $50 an hour, you'd still spend $2,400 a year if you got 4 hours of consulting in a month. So then if you could get 1 hour of, and I see a typo in my slide there, too funny, 1 hour of free training from 9 different rockstar entrepreneurs, what would that be worth? Well, if they all charge $250 an hour, that's another $2,250. And every one of those people on this screen, those guys, they're all making 6 figures, folks, and in some cases more than 6 figures, doing what I'm talking about. So if this system helped you to get just 6 clients, each worth $1,000 a month, what would that be worth? Well, that's $72,000 a year in income. And we got 5 clients after just 90 days. And then the last thing, maybe the most important of all, is what is having total autonomy in your life worth. You're the boss. You can work from anywhere you want to. You know, by the way, guys, I want to take a sidebar. These clients that we've landed, I've never met any of them. I do an online meeting via GoToMeeting. I could live at the North Pole and run my business. You do not need to go and get in your car and drive to see people. All right, back on slide here. You also get to decide how much vacation you get. What's that worth? Well, to me, that's priceless. All right, so here's everything that you're going to get if you take the full package. And again, I have 3 packages available, so just give me a minute and I'll explain them all to you. The first one, the book, the 8 video tutorials, the 9 video interviews, and the 5 resources. That is the foundation of knowledge that we have used to achieve this result. So you might be thinking at this point in time, well, I'm just getting started. Will this work for me? Well, it'll work for you if you take the initiative and if you start now. Or you might be thinking, well, I don't have the money for this. Well, number one, I haven't even told you how much it is yet, so you don't know how much it's going to cost. But here's my question to you. If you aren't willing to invest in this, how serious are you about building a real business? You might be thinking you can just learn it all yourself, and I'm going to tell you, you can't. The reality is that anyone who has built a really successful online business has been coached by someone else who has already done it. Heck, my coaching calls alone are worth more than the $250 that I charge. You might be sitting here thinking, well, I'm too busy. You're too busy? Well, then just stay busy and stay broke, because if you were making a ton of cash, you wouldn't be on this webinar. It's that simple. Busy people are broke people. The richest people I know are the least busy people I know because they have other people working for them. This isn't the right time. Really? Now is not the right time to start building a real business that can generate life-changing income? When would be the right time for that? The key to success is to take action now. And like I said in my YouTube video, the best way to succeed in business is to be in business. And this is the right business to be in. The last one, if you don't trust yourself to do the work, and I do hear people say this, you know, I bought stuff before and I just didn't do it. Well, if you don't trust yourself to do the work, here's my advice. Do not buy my stuff either. Don't jump in. Don't be a part of it, because if you can't trust yourself to put in the time and the effort and the energy necessary to launch this business, then don't do it. Hang up the phone right now, because nothing in my course is going to help you. So here's everything you get. Here's the first package. And there is a promotion code, by the way, that's going to give you a 25% discount on all of these prices. So that is, and that's available until the end of the evening. $39 gets you the book. $99 gets you the 4 video to the book and 4 video tutorials, 4 video interviews, and 2 resources. The complete package, which is everything, and there are some additional bonuses if you get the complete package, so just hang on a second before you go running off and checking out. I want to make sure that you guys know what it is. But you get the 8 video tutorials, the 9 video interviews, and as a matter of fact, that's actually 10 video interviews now because I just uploaded another one today with a guy who is landing $10 million plus clients, and he's one of the smartest content marketers I've ever met. So for people who had bought my book already, I wanted them to have that, so I put that in the members area today. And 5 resources. If you take this package and this package only, you will get also the best buyer formula. So earlier in the webinar, I said, you know, you need to combine outbound and inbound to get results in a shorter period of time. Back when I built Duran Systems up to $1.8 million, I didn't know what inbound marketing was. I didn't have a blog. I didn't do anything. It was all outbound. And the best buyer formula takes all of my best stuff and it's updated today. So it's not all about cold calling. It's all about how you can use social media and email and so forth. And it gives you templates and procedures and steps to follow to be able to get conversations happening. And then in those conversations, you want to point them to the great content that you've created, which the book will teach you how to create, so that you look like an expert, so that you're positioned in a way that when you get to the end of an hour-and-a-half phone call, you can say, send me $5,000 on your credit card, like clients regularly do for us. Fast action bonus number 2. Remember Mike Worley was on and he was talking all about my mastermind group. I record all of those meetings. It's called the Mastermind Elite. And those people pay me $179 a month or $1,188 per year to be a part of that. I'm going to give you access to the recordings. The amount of gold, the amount of knowledge that is in those meetings is priceless. The amount of time that you will save if you simply listen to those meetings. It's 10 people on a call who are all in this business. This guy here, Jeff Venn, at the bottom of this slide, he's making 30 grand a month. And I'm just going to read you a little bit. I was a little skeptical about how much value Trent's Mastermind Group could really bring. The first call was pretty mind-blowing, though. I found myself listening, learning, and sharing with a group of people from all over the country who are hungry to build a more profitable business and share their secrets amongst a tight-knit group. And he goes on to say, it was really, really a great value, and he is still an active member to this day. Fast action bonus number 3. There is a private Facebook mastermind group for everyone who has bought the complete package. And that is a very active discussion group. So my mastermind guys are paying me $179 a year, and they have their own mastermind group. So that is worth $21.48 per year. You are also going to get a one-on-one, not a group call, but a one-on-one coaching call with me. And that is, I charge $250 an hour. So a half hour, if you were paying me, is $125. But I really want you to think about this. If one call with me, and I built a multi-million-dollar business, helps you to do even 50 grand over the next year, what would that be worth? How much is that? Is that $125, or is that worth thousands and thousands of dollars to you? 125 is probably on the light side. I hope you get the point. So there's $3,608 in value. That link at the top, brightideas.co/Paul. If you want to get signed up, that's where you go. You can choose all 3 options from that page. I want you to remember this. One client, just one client, is easily, if there are any less than $500, I wouldn't take them. I've not yet had a client sign on for less than $5,000. I want to say that one more time. I have not yet taken a client on for less than $5 grand up front, paid in full at the end of the sales call. This is a real business, guys, where you can generate thousands of dollars, not $20 and $47. So here's the promo code. The promo code, surprisingly, is Paul. When you're checking out, type in Paul, and it's case sensitive. Make sure it's all small letters. And no matter what package that you pick, you get 25% off. I have a 5-day unconditional money back guarantee. Emphasis, 5-day unconditional money back guarantee. If in the first 5 days you are not happy, just let me know and I'll refund all your money. If you ever want to be standing in a picture like this and having that amount of money deposited into your bank account, this business can get you there. Selling CPA offers or doing affiliate stuff or trying to take advantage of some goofy loophole in Pinterest or Facebook or LinkedIn to get traffic to make $100 a day will never, ever, ever get you into this photograph. If this is what you want, and it's not right for everybody, I understand that. But if this is what you want, this business is the business that can take you there. And from the money that you make from this business, you can do all sorts of other things. Paul and I are in a software business together. How do you think I pay for that? That comes out of the earnings from this business. So that's it. End of the slides, brightideas.co/Paul. I think Paul's probably still with us. I know that he wants to do some Q&A. So over to you, Paul.
Yeah, cool. I put the link in the chat box, guys. So you can just click on that and go straight to brightideas.co/Paul. And yeah, a great presentation. Very, very interesting. And, I really admire the work you're doing, Trent. So, and I think doing it the way you're doing in a structured way, and building the foundation and not using any shortcuts and loopholes, because we've all been there, right?
We have, yes.
I think it's really, really refreshing to have like a solid business model that people can jump in and like really trust. It's something that I really, really advocate. So, so we still got quite a few people on the call. So basically, now's the opportunity. If you've got any questions on any of this or anything you want to ask Trent, I can see lots of people are jumping in and buying the product now. Thanks for that. But anyone else who's still looking at it and considering it, then just type your question into the chat box, and we'll get to you as soon as we can.
Here's a question that I get asked a lot, and that is, Trent, how do I get started? And it's actually not very complicated at all to get started. And in the interview with, his name is Lee Frederickson, that I uploaded into the members area today, that I was just so stoked about, that I wanted to share with my members, because it won't get published on my blog for till February. I asked Lee the same question, and he said it just starts so simply. You go out and you talk to people and you ask them what their problems are, and you just do research. So let me give you a practical path for that. Every one of you who's on this works, more than likely, has a job in an industry. And some of you probably have some expertise or some domain knowledge about that industry. Probably all of you do. So that gives you an advantage over people who don't have knowledge over that industry. And you probably have some connections in that industry as well. And even if you don't have connections, it's not a really big problem. You reach out to people, and you can do this via email or Twitter or their LinkedIn profile, whatever, and you say, listen, I'm in the process of doing some research on some of the marketing challenges that are faced by people in your industry, and I'd love to have an opportunity to jump on the phone or Skype with you and ask you some questions so that I can collect data from you and a number of other people in your industry. As a thank you for that, what I'll do is, when the report is done, and you can use a survey for this, is I'll give you an early advanced copy of the results. Most people are going to say, yeah, I'll do that, because they are going to want to see what trends are happening in their industry. And you can just ask them questions like, what are you doing for lead generation? How do you use your website? What's your greatest marketing challenge? Are you using social media? How are you using social media? There's all sorts of things that you can ask them. And then you can produce a report from that. People are asking for the promo code. It's Paul, all in all small letters, P-A-U-L. And here's what's going to happen when you do that. First of all, you just planted the seeds for people that you can have future conversations with. Some of them, if you ask intelligent enough questions along the way, and when you read my book and consume all the content that's available to you in this offer, you will know what to ask, and you will sound like you know what you're talking about. Some of them might say, hey, we're actually suffering from this and this and the other problem. Can you help us with that? Like, we've been thinking about getting a new website. Could you help us with that? And the answer is yes, I can help you with that. Even if you don't know how to build a website, on Odesk, there is an army of contractors who do know how to build a website, and they can build you a very nice looking site for a couple of $100. I interviewed a guy on my show, and he focused on industrial manufacturers. This guy was so green, he didn't even really know what the whole marketing thing, he didn't even know what an entrepreneur was, and he just thought, I got to get going in this. And so he listened to some interviews, and he thought, well, I'm going to go after industrial manufacturing companies. The reason I'm going to do that is because what they sell, like one order, is worth $50,000, $80,000, $100,000, because they sell these big things, right? And so he reached out to them and had conversations just like I'm explaining to you. And he would regularly get deals to fix websites, new websites, and they'd pay $10,000. So you think, oh my God, that's so much money for a website. Well, it is and it isn't. If an industrial manufacturer, if they can sell one more sale in a year because they get a better website, that's 50 grand. Would they be willing to spend $10,000 to make 50? You bet they would, all day long. That's why clients who are paying us $5,000 pay us the $5,000, is because they're not thinking about what is this costing me per hour. They're thinking about what will this do for my business. And so a huge part of being able to do this is making sure that you sell on value. But anyway, so Sam, he went out and I got off track there. So he didn't know how to build a website. So he went on Odesk and he'd say, I need you to build, find someone to build him a site, and he'd pay like $200 because somebody in Thailand or wherever who was an expert web designer would build him his custom site, and they charge him $200, and he was selling it to his client for 10 grand. That type of thing, it's not impossible, guys. That is what you can do. And the key is you have to be willing to create the content, to position yourself as a thought leader. And as again, in my book, you'll learn all how to do that, how to know what to write about, the steps, the checklists, how to create great blog posts, how to promote your blog posts. It's all there. And I'm the walking, talking proof of it all, because my blog, it gets 10,000 visitors a month. And all of our clients, I don't do any outbound. All of our clients come from that blog. All right. What else we have? Okay, the bonuses. And this is what I was supposed to, I think, Paul, you were supposed to remind me of this or something else. The bonuses I have to manually add to your account afterwards. So as soon as you, and I'll do that right after this webinar. So whenever you, if you purchase the complete package, just make sure that you send a copy of your receipt. And actually, you're going to get all these emails. So you can just reply to an email from me and you say, I was on Paul's webinar. Please add the bonuses. And myself or a member of my team will go ahead and log in and get those to you. You'll also get another email that has a link to my online calendar where you can go in and book your coaching session with me. So there's not really anything that you have to do for that. Just like I write about in my book, I write about the importance of creating automated systems, and my business uses all of those systems for it to run.
And just anyone buying the complete package, after you go through the initial screen, then you will see like an upgrade or an OTO screen for the best.
Oh yeah, that's what you're.
So just to remind you, you don't need to buy that because you get that as the bonus. Okay, so you can just skip that part.
Yes, that's what you were supposed to remind me of.
There you go.
Okay. Another question. How do people fulfill the services to these clients to earn great money? John, I'm not sure when you typed that question in, but in case you, what's just now? Okay. That was what I was explaining before. You can outsource. It's not hard at all. And in my in the book, as a matter of fact, I have a whole section devoted to how you can outsource, how to place an ad, where to place an ad, how to write the ad, how to interview people. And you'll find an overseas worker, generally overseas, because the labor rate is so much less. Thailand is where we most often use people, and they'll do the work for you. Now, you do have to have the ability, of course, to have a conversation about strategy and so forth with your client, and that's where developing a foundation of knowledge is important, and that will happen when you read the book and when you start to blog. Because in the book, like, to get started, I suggest you need to write 10 blog posts, and the byproduct of writing 10 blog posts is you're going to learn stuff, because whenever you write about stuff, you become knowledgeable about it. And so those blog posts are going to become instrumental to you in helping you to get people to become clients. And so some of the things that you should be writing about are the same things that you're going to be talking to your clients about before you hand off the fulfillment of the actual, build me a site or set up a Facebook page, or any of the things that you're going to actually do is going to be preceded by, developing the plan and the strategy. All right. Somebody else is asking how to get paid. You can collect your money in any number of ways. PayPal, of course, if you don't have the ability to take a credit card payment. PayPal works just fine. I think FreshBooks also allows you the ability to receive money online, but for most people, PayPal is going to be the easiest. Over time, you're probably, when your business grows, I really encourage that you use Infusionsoft and get yourself a merchant account. And so we just put up a little order form for people, and they go there and they punch their credit card info in, and so we get paid instantaneously as a result of that. What else do we have here? Blaze. Yes, Blaze, there is a discount code. It is Paul. Just type in Paul, all small case letters, P-A-U-L. When you're at the checkout, there will be a section for you to put that in the coupon codes. So go ahead and type that in there. Jay, you're very welcome. Thank you for showing up. Sean. Okay, so Sean, I'm just reading your question. You mentioned your material has all the steps necessary to get started and position yourself. Would you say the steps are mapped out fully? That's a good question, Sean. Is there a page that says step 1, do this, step 2, do that, step 3, do the other thing? No, that page does not exist. But the book, the chapters are organized in such a way as they're chronological to how you should be doing this. The very first thing I talk about is identifying the niche that you're going to specialize in and what the people in that niche would be interested in. And then in the book, I talked about, how you should be creating content for people in that niche. And then I talk about how you should be promoting that content. And then I talk about how you should be capturing leads. And then I talk about how you should be nurturing those leads. So indirectly, Sean, yes, it is step by step. But like I say, there is not a page that says step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Susan is asking if there's going to be a replay. And Paul, I think you're putting up in a replay. And yes, Jerry, the OTO video offers, don't buy that because you're getting that for free. I just didn't want to build a whole new marketing funnel here for my webinar with Paul. When people normally come and buy this and they pay full price, they do get the Best Buyer Formula OTO. And Solomon, yes, the book is digitally downloaded immediately. As soon as you pay, you'll get an email with access to the members area, and you go in there and you can download the PDF. And there is also an EPUB version there in the members area. So you'll be able to, read it on whatever mobile device in a more user-friendly format than a PDF. Like you can read a PDF on your iPhone, but the print's a little bit small. So one of the members actually was so stoked about the thing, he created the EPUB for me. And so I uploaded that to the members area. And Jerry, you're very welcome, and I'm glad that you like the approach, and thank you very much for being here. I think too, guys, Errol, he's in for the full product. Very sincere and clear presentation, very refreshing. I'm looking forward to talking with you soon. And Errol, I'm looking forward to talking with you as well. Tim, how do you ask for the bonuses? Just reply to one of the emails and say, I was on Paul's webinar, please add the bonuses. Jason is asking about members login info, and it'll come to you. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, and every once in a while, for reasons I'm trying to figure out, it doesn't go and just automatically. Just send me an email, and right after the webinar here, I'll be going through my inbox, and we will be fixing that for anyone that didn't get it automatically. Who's next? Can you talk A? Is it worth it? And do you use that some? Oh, a bit about HubSpot. Jerry, I don't use HubSpot. I use Infusionsoft. HubSpot is a comparable tool, but it doesn't have all the capabilities that Infusionsoft does, and HubSpot has some features that Infusionsoft doesn't have. HubSpot's also about 3 times the price of Infusionsoft. So, do you need HubSpot to succeed in this business? No, you can succeed without it. Would HubSpot help you in terms of content marketing? Yes, it would. Would Infusionsoft help you with marketing automation and building a better marketing funnel and following up with your clients and segmenting? Yes, absolutely it would. Jason just signed up. Thank you very much, Jason. Jerry's asking, it's infusionsoft.com, Jerry. And if you go, I have an affiliate link, and if you end up getting it, we end up doing your implementation. The affiliate link is brightideas.co/getinfusionsoft. Maybe Liz will type that into the chat box for me. Solomon is asking another question. Okay, so do you think the person with the full-time job can do this and succeed? And what about using Aweber instead of Infusionsoft? Yeah, Solomon, you don't need Infusionsoft to begin to start off with. And as a matter of fact, I would encourage that you probably wait. And Aweber is going to be just fine. Can you do this with a full-time job? Yeah, absolutely. I think you can, but you're going to have to work. For example, in the first, week or 2 weeks, you're going to need to write a bunch of blog posts, a bunch being, I'd say 10, because you need to have some kind of foundation. So when people come to your blog to check you out, you need to look good. So you got to have some posts that are written there. Now, I don't know how fast you write, but I generally can crank out a pretty decent post in, an hour or 2, maybe 3. So you got to factor that in. And then you have to, as the Best Buyer Formula will teach you, you need to build a finite list of targets. So those are the 100 people that would, or 100 companies that would be great clients. And then you can create an outbound campaign. And I use, if you want to have, a VA can really play a role in this. If you use something called Yesware, which is free, you can create pre-written email templates in your Google Gmail box. And then you can have your VA literally log into an email account that you create and just have them start sending out emails to people who are on that finite list. You can reach out to people on Twitter. You can reach out on LinkedIn. All of those things will accelerate the results you're going to get. And all of those things a virtual assistant can do. And you only have to pay them like $3 an hour. Then when somebody replies to one of those emails, at some point you're going to need to talk with them. So I got this question from somebody the other day, and I said, here's what you do. He says, I work all day. How do I do this? And I said, very simply. Most small business owners, they work way more than 9 to 5 too. So you say, listen, I'm really busy right now, but I can do a call with you at 7:30 tomorrow morning, or I can do a call with you at 5:30, 2 days from now in the evening. Those are not outside of business hours for most small business owners, although it's probably outside of your work hours. So if you want to do this bad enough, having a job, think of it this way. The job gives you money that you can then invest in your business in terms of VAs to help you get going. And yes, absolutely, you can succeed. Sean's asking another one. I guess what you said is that I was really asking that the content is very structured, how best to start moving forward, gaining momentum. Okay, so Sean, I think I answered your question. Sorry, and Jerry, it's not YesMail, it's Yesware. Yesware.com. John Gallagher. So the core consulting is setting up marketing funnels for clients. The consulting, John, is whatever you want it to be. I would encourage that you build a new website as your foot in the door, because most companies, they have a pretty crappy website. They don't have a good headline. They don't have any way to capture leads. They don't have any compelling content. So, the marketing automation part that I use Infusionsoft for definitely helps increase conversions once you've captured the email address. But you got to capture the email address to begin with. Most people aren't getting any traffic to their site. So get them a new site, start creating blogging as a business for them. And I'll just explain that real quick, what that is, because I don't necessarily explain that in the book, but of course you can email me. Blogging as a service. So you could very easily, and you can charge a monthly fee for this. You don't want to sit down and write blog posts from scratch for your clients. That's too much work. Plus you got to do it all. So that's not the smart way. The smart way is you say to your client, listen, and this will depend upon the niche that you choose, the price that you can charge from this will go up the more profitable your clients are. So let's say we'll go with the industrial manufacturers, or maybe it's attorneys or whatever. You can very easily say, look, I'm going to create 4 blog posts a month for you, and I'll charge you, I don't know, $500, $1,000, whatever you can get them to agree to that you can make money at. Here's how it's going to work, Mr. Client. Once per month, we're going to get on the phone on Skype, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. We'll agree in advance on what those questions should be, and I'm going to record the call. Okay, so that way I've got all the content in your words, Mr. Client, so that lowers the client's concern that blog posts wouldn't be in their own words. Then you're going to transcribe that recorded phone call, and you can use something called SpeechPad to do this. It costs about $1 per minute. And then you're going to go onto Odesk and you're going to hire a writer, and you're going to say, here's the transcription. It's 10,000 words long. I want you to chop it up into 5 blog posts. Now, you had to think about this in advance. When you were asking the questions, when you were on the phone for an hour with your client, you already knew what you wanted the 5 blog posts to be. And you asked your client questions that you knew you'd get the answer that you could turn into a blog post. The writer is simply there to take the raw text, the ums, the ahs, the thises and that, and turn it into a polished blog post. So in other words, you're saying to your client, look, for like a lawyer, they bill their time out at like $400 an hour. So for 2 hours of your billable time per month, say $800, I'm going to produce 4 fully done blog posts for you. We're going to share them on social media. We're going to promote them, syndicate them. We're going to do all this good stuff. And over time, that's going to get more clients to your site. People will pay for that. John, if you have a JV for me, yeah, please just send me an email, trent@brightideas.co. All right, I think I have answered all the questions. So to everyone that signed up, thank you very, very much. If you have a question, don't be shy. Go ahead, type it. There's no such thing as a stupid question. When is my next appointment? Actually, I think I just missed it.
So if yeah, we've still got quite a few people on the
Yep.
call. So guys, if anyone's sitting on the call, got any last minute thoughts, or you're just on the fence or something, now's the time. Just pop the question into the chat box, and we'll take care of it straight away. Otherwise we're going to close the call in about a minute, I guess.
Okay, because I did actually miss a coaching call right now. This went longer than I expected.
Okay. So anything else coming in there?
So Leah is asking, how important is a track record? Doesn't matter, Lee. When I started my agency here, I'd never run an agency before. When I started my IT services company, I didn't know anything about IT. I found somebody that did and asked them to help me and be my partner. And you could do that in this. If you don't want to outsource, you could just find someone who's a great web designer and say, look, I'll find the work, you do the design, we'll split the profits. Web designers are all over the internet. Most of them don't have enough work. So Lee, it doesn't matter that you don't have a track record. What does matter is how badly you want this, whether you follow a proven strategy, and whether you're willing to put in the work necessary. Lee, I don't think if you partner up with another web designer and they say, well, what have you built before? Just show them that web designer's portfolio and say, look, we built this. It doesn't matter that you didn't build it, because you're not going to be the one building them the new site, the web designer that you find. And you can go on to Odesk or Theme4. I mean, there's a million places to find web designers, and some of them I highlighted in my book, that they need more work. Trust me, that will not be a problem, finding web designers, and then you just share their portfolio. That's what I did on my Groove site. All those sites. It's actually one of the guys in my mastermind group who builds sites. I don't want to build sites. Sean, you're very welcome. Pleasure to have you here. All right, Paul, I really got to run, mate. I got to call this guy back whose phone call I just missed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Trent, I really appreciate you coming on the call. I think the content you shared is really, really valuable. I can see lots of people have jumped in. Thanks, Michael. And we've got lots and lots of thank yous coming in the chat box. I think everyone's found that really, really useful. So by all means, ping me if you've got any other questions. But we need to close this call now. And you've got the link. And I can assure you that if you jump on board, you're going to be in good hands, because I know Trent very well, and the stuff he does and delivers is like really ultra valuable. Okay, chaps. So let's close the call. Thanks again, Trent. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for coming on board.
All right. Thanks, Paul, and thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.